Hello, I'm Mary Beth Farrell, and this is my presentation on social power and the alpha dog. I'll begin by defining social power, and then I'll apply social power to the concept of the alpha dog. In 1959, two social psychologists named John French and Bertram Raven conducted an ahistoric study in which they defined 5 distinct types of social power. These powers include legitimate, reward, coercive, expert, and referent. In 1965, Raven revised the model to include a 6th type of power by separating informational power away from expert power. French and Raven were also responsible for defining social influence as factors that cause a change in an individual's beliefs, attitudes, or behaviors that result in action. They differentiated power from influence in that power is the potential to influence or the ability to cause change. Social power is an important concept because as humans, we spend a disproportionate amount of time trying to influence others. People desire and need things from other individuals, such as money, work, opportunity, and even love. How these needs are met depends on a person's skill in influencing another person to get what they want. It is vital to understand what causes people to obey others and how this affects both the follower and the person of power. So let's begin by discussing the 6 types of social power. The first type of power is legitimate power. Legitimate power is defined as power that originates from being appointed to a position. A president, queen, or a CEO all have legitimate power. Legitimate power is based on social hierarchies, cultural norms, and organizational structure. Often this type of power is based on the law or election results. Legitimate power is situational in that the scope of power is limited to certain situations. For instance, if a policeman tells you to pull over, you do it. However, if a policeman tried to tell you how to decorate your home, you would most probably laugh at him. Legitimate power is also unstable. If you get fired, your legitimate power immediately disappears because people are influenced by the position held and not you exclusively. An advantage of legitimate power is that there is a hierarchy that others can understand and follow. Knowing who is in charge can increase organizational effectiveness. A disadvantage is that it can also be abused. The second type of power is reward power. Reward power is based on the ability to give people things or take away things that they potentially want. In other words, it is the capacity to give or control rewards. Typical rewards are raises, promotions, desirable tasks, professional development opportunities, or compliments. In the educational setting, teachers have reward power such that they can determine grades. For instance, Dr. Reason has the power to decide to give me 100% on this assignment. Hint, hint. Usually, rewards are given for doing what a person in power wants. However, rewards can be withheld or given for doing something that the person in power doesn't want. For instance, if you park illegally in a handicap space, you are rewarded with a fine. The benefit of rewards is that they can be motivating. The pitfalls of rewards is that people can become fixated on the reward and not on the work to be done. Different types of rewards work for different types of people. If the same reward is used over and over again, it begins to lose its reward value. For instance, constantly saying good job no matter what the actions or results lessens its effectiveness. The third type of power is coercive power. Coercive power is the ability and authority to punish people for some reason. Usually, there is a threat of force used to gain compliance from another. The force can take many forms such as physical, emotional, social, political, and economic. The goal of coercive power is to make someone do something they don't want to do. Compliance is demanded, and fear is often involved. In business, coercive power is considered the most extreme form of autocratic leadership, most commonly displayed as reprimands, hostile attitude, threats of a loss of status, or termination. Employees are often fearful of being shouted at and humiliated. The problem with this type of power is that it decreases morale and motivation, and it leads to high staff turnover. The fourth type of power is expert power. Expert power is the ability to influence through sharing knowledge, information, or expertise. It is based on a person's previous experiences and talents and skills. Expertise is established by credentials, actions, and reputation. Those with expert power have the knowledge to analyze and understand situations, propose solutions, apply judgment, and outperform others. When someone has expert power, other people will listen, trust, and respect them. People with expert power are subject matter experts. Others look to those with expert power for leadership. A typical example of expert power is the power that doctors have. There's an old joke. What do you call someone who graduates at the bottom of their medical class? The answer? Doctor. Even at the bottom of the class, they still have expert power. The fifth type of power is referent power. Referent power is the ability to influence others through charm, charisma, or affiliation. It is usually based on a high level of admiration and respect. A leader with referent power can influence others because of a follower's loyalty, respect, friendship, admiration, affection, or need for approval. Referent leaders are great communicators and possess strong interpersonal skills. Referent power can be used in organizations seeking to increase collaboration. I can name numerous examples of people with referent power, such as Oprah Winfrey, Bill Clinton, Richard Branson, and so on. And the last type of power, that was not included in the textbook, is informational power. Informational power is the ability to rationally persuade someone. Informational power comes from controlling the information that others want or need. Having access to confidential information creates power. In the current business world, information is a potent source of power. Power comes from having access to information, being in the position to share, withhold, manipulate, distort, or conceal it. Information can be used as a bargaining tool or a weapon. Jared Kushner is a perfect example of someone who used to have informational power because he had access to the president's daily brief. However, when he lost that access, he immediately lost informational power. It's important to understand social power because leadership and power are interconnected. Most leaders use several types of power to influence employees. The 6 types of powers can be grouped into harsh and soft based on how the power is used to restrict someone's autonomy and make them comply. Harsh power constrains an individual's choice to comply with the leader's demands. Harsh power bases include coercion, rewards, and legitimate power. On the other hand, soft power is based on an employee's freedom and autonomy to accept the demands of the leader. Soft power bases include expert, referent, and informational power. Compared to harsh power bases, soft power bases are typically received more favorably and are associated with more positive individual and organizational outcomes. In considering the 2 categories of power, I'm fairly certain that harsh forms are the dominant type of power used at my organization. In previous assignments, I've mentioned the less than pleasant working conditions at my organization as a result of one of my colleagues being promoted to CEO. I realized that one of the main reasons why my boss continuously puts me down is that she feels threatened. And if I was to be 100% truthful, I would admit that years before she was even being considered for the CEO position, I might have remarked to someone else that I thought she was stupid. And it might have gotten back to her. Yeah, I know, not my brightest political move. Anyway, because my boss is threatened by me, she relies on harsh power to keep me in my place. Obviously, my boss has legitimate power over me. She uses reward power to frequently by threatening my job by saying things like, well, I don't know if we will even have a research department after strategic planning. I'm the only one in my department, and it's pretty easy to read the implied threat there. She uses coercive power by humiliating me and bullying me in meetings. Note, I'm not the only one. For example, I once asked a question and she said, and I quote, "I'm not going to waste the group's time talking about that." I rarely, if ever, ask questions anymore. I think the organization would be stronger if she would lighten up and rely more on soft power bases. I also think that both my boss and I would be a lot happier if she was an alpha dog leader. No, I'm not talking about alpha dogs that go around peeing on things. I'm referring to alpha dogs as leaders who hold a position of authority in an organization and they are able to influence others as a result. They consistently drive high performance. These leaders have a positive impact on others and in the organization. Alpha dogs maximize energy because their personal truths are on the same frequency as the organization's truths. Strong alpha dogs are certain of their personal truths, and they continuously and boldly act upon them. Alpha dogs usually possess extraordinary communication skills. People want to pay attention and listen to the alpha dog. When they speak, their purpose and passion are obvious. Alpha dogs exude authority because their words and personal truths are in alignment. Alpha dogs are able to influence through their decision-making style, communication style, thought processes, and body language. So in summary, most leaders possess legitimate, reward, and coercive power, but the strongest leaders also have expert power. Expert power is the kibble that sets alpha dogs apart from other leaders. Thank you for watching my video. I look forward to watching your videos, and I hope I didn't bore you too much.